Hi, y'all. I'm Julie. I'm a trauma-informed adoptee coach and somatic healing guide. After overcoming deep abandonment wounds, I now help adult adoptees move from feeling lost and disconnected to experiencing profound self-belonging. I know what it is like to carry the weight of abandonment, to feel stuck in patterns of longing, adapting, and searching for belonging. To have tried every healing modality available and come up empty. My own healing has taught me this. The answers aren't out there, they're buried within me, and I'm here to guide you home to yourself. The Resilience Project podcast brings voice, visibility, and validation to the parts of adoption society rarely names, but all of us feel. Through an trauma-informed somatic lens, I explore the lived experiences of the entire adoption constellation with a tender emphasis on the adoptee experience. This podcast goes beyond storytelling into soul-telling. It offers embodied insight, compassionate education, and a path towards awareness, hope, and strength. Each episode invites listeners to understand adoption more deeply, not just with the mind, but with the nervous system, and to reconnect with the truth, identity, and belonging that were always yours to come home to. Welcome. Welcome back to the podcast, y'all. I am so happy to be with you. There is something that I have been building quietly behind the scenes. And if I'm honest, it's been building me right back. The idea for this germinated in my subconscious almost 3 years ago when I first said this phrase out loud to a group of women who had earned the right to hear it. And that phrase was, ooh, I didn't realize I'd get emotional. That phrase was, I am a burden. And I remember seeing tears streaming down the face of another woman in that group. Wow, I was not prepared for this. But that's okay. Tears streaming down the face of another woman in that group that I've become really close with. Actually, she's my virtual assistant, and I just adore her because she felt the same way too and had never said those words out loud either. It was one of the first times since coming out of the fog in 2010 that I had felt seen and had felt shared pain. I'm sad, though, that it took me almost 13 years to be able to speak the words that had lived in my subconscious originally in felt sensations. Not words. I'd like to describe what those sensations felt like. Even though I didn't know the words, I'm a burden, how they showed up in my body was my stomach would tighten. It would almost clench. My shoulders would drop and collapse, almost a shame response. Not almost, it was. It was a shame response. And when I was in that place, I would feel emotionally withdrawn. And if anybody would try to have an interaction with me, it would be unproductive, to be honest, because in that emotional state, I couldn't communicate coherently. But thankfully, over the last 5 years, I've been allowing myself to feel those sensations. And the reason that I wanted to have a live event, which is what I'm announcing right now, I'm having a live online event, a free one, on March 3rd on Zoom. It's going to be called You Are Not a Burden, a gathering for adoptees exploring identity. It's not a masterclass because let's be honest, who really is a master of healing? You know, Liz and I talked about this on our episode a few weeks ago at the end of January about community is where healing truly happens, where we're able to be seen, heard, understood, and witnessed without judgment. That's why I chose the word gathering over masterclass. I am a burden is a belief that so many of us have lived with inside our subconscious. I've heard multiple variations of this. Things like, I'm defective, I'm a nuisance, I don't want to be an inconvenience. Where, you might ask? It came from coaching sessions. It came from conversations with adoptees wanting to change, but hesitating to invest in themselves. Not because they're lazy, because somewhere deep down, they don't believe that they are worth it. Or they're angry at the system that created the wound in the first place, and now they have to pay to untangle it. I get that. I really, really do. And there's a part of me that has actually felt the same thing. So why should we have to pay to heal something we didn't even choose, you know? But here's what I've learned. That thinking is what's kept me stuck. And it's kept me in that belief that this happened to me, or what can be called the victim mindset. And don't get me wrong, the rupture is real. That did happen to me. But what if we began to view this as happening for us? A subtle shift that becomes a reclamation of your life. If you are feeling like you can't live like this anymore, staying stuck costs more. It costs intimacy, self-trust, it costs peace, it costs relationships, and sometimes, and for most, it can cost decades or longer. So the belief that you're a burden doesn't just affect relationships. It affects whether you invest in yourself. It whispers, don't take up space. Don't be an inconvenience. Don't need too much. And if you've lived your whole life minimizing yourself, like I have, of course, investing in yourself feels terrifying. I remember the first time I ever actually did this. It was like truly did it. It was back in 2022. And I had had my master's at that point for 8 years. And I had been seeing clients in the addiction spaces for that long. And one of my good friends who actually had been a client in my own program had started a somatic coaching program. And as I started to see her posts, you guys have heard from her on my podcast. Her name is Becky. She's one of my best friends. I started realizing this is that missing piece that I have been searching for this whole time. But I was terrified. Like I said, investing in myself feels terrifying. And I remember that first conversation that I had with her on the phone. I was so frozen and numb. And the actual word that comes to my mind over terrified is horrified. I have been helping people for more than 8 years at that point. And look at me. I have nothing to show for it. My marriage is in shambles. I'm falling apart. It was that whole idea of the imposter syndrome. I am not even worthy of investing in. I've tried everything. How could this help me? But I had this little sliver, this little glimmer of hope. So if you are feeling that investing in yourself is terrifying, realize that it contradicts the identity that you actually built to survive. So it makes sense that you would be feeling that. And then there's this. Some of you are incredibly intelligent. I mean, I freaking had my master's in counseling at that point. I read a lot. You've read a lot. I had done therapy. More than likely, you have too. I've listened to so many podcasts. I'm sure you have as well. I thought I knew the language of the mind, had no idea about the language of the body, though. You knew concepts, but didn't know how to integrate them. This is the important thing to understand. I'm going to repeat this. Knowing concepts and integrating them are not the same. One of my clients said something to me recently that actually brought tears to my eyes. He said, "What stands out to me is how much education and coaching you've given me. I haven't come across a concept or modality you haven't already walked me through." And I didn't build my program that way to impress anyone. I built it that way because I've spent 20 years of my own blood, sweat, and tears healing all of the complex layers involved in the trauma we adoptees experience. I'm not arrived yet. I'm not at the other side of the rainbow. I will always be healing. But there are parts of me that I really do feel like I've been able to integrate and love and heal. But I didn't realize until the last 5 years of those 20 that there was a blueprint here that I needed to uncover. It's mindset work. It's emotion focused. It's attachment. It's nervous system. It's identity. It's grief. It's shame, dealing with the shame. It's somatic. It's spiritual. It's parts work. It's story work. And it's relationship work. You can't treat just one slice of those and call it whole. And that's what this gathering will begin to do. Not overwhelm you, but hold the whole picture. So you are not a burden. This gathering that I'm holding for adoptees to explore identity is not about fixing you. You don't need to be fixed. It's about dismantling the belief that you were ever too much to begin with. It's about understanding how that belief formed, feeling it in your body, challenging it, and practicing something new in community. Because the opposite of burden is not independence. It's belonging. And if you remember in a recent episode, I talked about independence, codependence, and interdependence. I'll reference that episode in the show notes as well. So I'm going to repeat that one more time. The opposite of burden is not independence. It's belonging. So if you feel pulled and resistant at the same time, that's not a red flag. That's often the edge of expansion. And if the thought, "I don't have time for this," comes up, ask yourself gently, is that wisdom or is that the old story talking? You deserve spaces that are built specifically for you, and this one is. I'm going to put all of the information in the show notes. My registration link will be in there as well for the event on March 3rd at 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, 5:30 Pacific, 7:30 Central, and 8:30 Eastern. And if you're wrestling with this, just DM me. I'm on all the socials. You can find me there. All of the links are listed in my show notes. Just DM me. I'm happy to have a conversation about it with you and realize that we can hold the tension of this together. That's the beauty. Community does that. And I just wanted to remind y'all of the live in-person event that Dr. Liz DeBetta and I are holding in May 23rd and 24th in Moscow, Idaho. I will also provide the link in the show notes, as well as the episode that Liz and I did a few weeks back announcing it. We're both very excited for that. I want so much for the adopted people in this world to find healing, because I don't think people understand the depth of the pain and suffering that we experience. But there is hope and there is healing. And I'm really looking forward to spending time with you on March 3rd at this event. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. And I will make sure to drop everything in the show notes, like I've said. And if there is anything that I have missed, or you have any feedback, or you want to review the podcast and give me 5 stars, I'd love that. Or if you hear this and you want to share it with an adoptee that you know, please feel free to do so. And I look forward to seeing you all next Thursday.